Hey guys, what's up? It's Emily, and this is my year in books. Welcome back to my channel. Happy 2024, happy new year. I hope everyone had a great holiday and is ready to hit the ground running and get back to work. I had a nice week off from everything. I took the week off YouTube. I'm really excited to be back. I feel refreshed. I feel good. I wanted to share all of the books that I read in 2023, share my Goodreads year in review, just kind of reflect on the year in reading that I had. So first, let's look at some data. There's the Goodreads year in review, and then there's the My Year in Books year in review. So I'm going to take a look at both of them and just give you guys some stats. So my reading goal this year was the same as it was in 2022, which was 52 books, which is one book a week. I actually read 60 books this year. It says I only read 59, and that's because I read one of my friends' books that they wrote that's not published yet, so I couldn't include it, but I did read 60 total books this year, and I surpassed my reading goal, which was super exciting. Here's my year in books data. I read 60 books, which adds up to, not including this other book, 23,557 pages and about 40,000 minutes. It's 668 hours, which is 28 days of just straight reading, which actually makes sense. That tracks. I read 42 romance books, I read 28 contemporary books, and 24 fantasy books. My top author was Sarah J. Maas. I read the entire Throne of Glass series. I read the entire ACOTAR series, which totals 13 books. And then my biggest reading months were November and December, where I read 11 books each. Yay! So some Goodreads challenge data. The shortest book I read was Joan Didion, and let me tell you what I mean. It was 149 pages. And then the longest book I read, I literally just finished, and it is Kingdom of Ash, the last book of the Throne of Glass series, which was 980 pages. And my eyes are still in rainbow circles from reading that long. The average book length that I read was 399 pages. My average rating for 2023 was 4.2, which I think is good. That means my year in reading was pretty good. Like, I enjoyed a lot of the books that I read. The highest rated book on Goodreads that I read was Kingdom of Ash, which has a 4.74 average. I recently started leaving book reviews on Goodreads, and the first review of the year I did on A Court of Silver Flames, which is my favorite book of all time. 6-star read, ruined all other books for me. Nesta Archeron, you will always be famous. So yeah, I love that. I love meeting my goals. So my goals for 2024, I set my goal of 75 books. For my reading goal for this year, I would love to read 100, but I don't want to put pressure on myself to read 2 books a week. I do work. I have a lot of other things that I do prioritize in my life. And so 2 books a week is the goal. But if I read 1 book a week for like half the year, that's okay, so I'm trying to make my goal attainable. I don't want to like ruin reading for me, do you know what I mean? By just like making it feel like such a job. So I would love to read 100 books, but my goal is 75. I would just love to continue reading series, continue reading fantasy. This year I really got into fantasy, so I want to keep doing that, keep getting into series and like going on longer journeys with characters. I want to read more literary fiction. That's a genre that I didn't really read a lot of this year, and I want to get into that a little bit more, as well as nonfiction. I read memoirs pretty frequently, but I'd like to also start reading more like political nonfiction and like sociology kind of based nonfiction books. Once Spotify started releasing audiobooks, I started reading 2 books at once. So like listening to one and then reading one, or if I was reading one physically and it was on Spotify, I would like listen to it and read it and just finish it a lot faster. So that's been kind of a nice thing that I did towards the end of 2023 that I want to bring into this year. I also got a reading journal, which I'm going to make a separate video for when I like set it up. I just plow through books, and I don't want to like decrease the speed in which I read, but I just want to have a little bit more time for like reflection after each book, just like 10-15 minutes to journal. Jean-Luc got me an amazing reading journal, so I will be sharing more about that in another video. It is a goal of mine to just take something from the book and like marinate on it a little bit more than I feel like I have been. And I also just want to like get my rating system in order. I kind of like rate books based on like feeling, which is like what you're supposed to do, right? But I like go back and look at my ratings and I'm just like, that doesn't make sense. Like, why did I do that? this reading journal has a really nice rating system, and I think it's going to help with that. Now, I know you all came here to hear about the books, so let's just do that in the order in which I read them. I'm going to just move through these as quickly as I can. So the first book I read of the year was Rock, Paper, Scissors, Alice Feeney. I'm not even going to look at what I rated it. I'm going to rate it in the moment now based on my year of reading, because I definitely read some of the best books this year and my rating system has matured a little bit. I would give that a 3.5. A lot of people love this book, and yes, the plot twist at the end was good, but it was just kind of boring for me in the beginning. Maybe Someday, Colleen Hoover. I'd give this one a solid 4. I really liked the characters. I like the main character. It was a beautiful love story. We love it. Then I read All Your Perfects, Colleen Hoover, 4.5. Love this one. One of my favorite Colleen Hoover books. Beautiful story about this couple and their journey together. Some of my favorite quotes from that book as well. Next we have Maybe Not, which is the second book in the Maybe Someday series. It is a novella. It's cute. It was fun. There's not a lot of substance to it because it's a novella, which is fine. So I'd give it a 3.5. Maybe Now, I'd also give it 3.5. I love the new characters that we get introduced to and kind of learn more about, but I just thought it was longer than it needed to be, and it didn't need to focus so much on Sydney and the other guy. Next I read In Pieces by Sally Field. It is weird rating memoirs, but I would give this 5 stars. I love Sally Field. She's amazing. She's perfect. She's a resilient woman. She's an amazing actor. I love her so much. Next I read All the Dangerous Things. I think I gave this a 5 star. I just love this book. I loved what it ended up kind of being about. A lot of times, when you have an unreliable narrator and you're reading a thriller and you don't know how it's gonna end, you don't really know what it's about until you know what the ending is, and I love what this is about. Never Never, I ended up reading the extended version of this, where it was I read all of the books in the series before it was released as one book. So I read 600 pages of this. I would give it a 3.5. Maybe I'd even give it, I think I'd give it a 3 star. Maybe if I had read the condensed version of it, I would have liked it more. I just remember at the end feeling okay. The Maid, solid 4. I loved this. I loved her relationship with her grandmother. I love the main character in this. She's so cute and she has such a unique voice. Very stylized writing. Really enjoyed it. I know the sequel to this came out and I'm gonna try to read it this year, but it's not on the highest list of my priorities. Next, I read Legends and Lattes. This I'd give a very sweet 3.5. I really like this book. It was amazing. I recommend it. It just wasn't anything super groundbreaking, but it was so fun and so sweet. Luckiest Girl Alive. I actually liked the screenplay of this better. I would give the book a 4 star. The screenplay was written after the whole Me Too movement, so it just had more depth to it, I feel. Ugly Love, I'd give a 4. I love the way Colleen Hoover writes characters and how they are flawed. A lot of people don't like this book because the characters are flawed, but it's isn't that kind of the point of art and humanity? Lessons in Chemistry. When I was reading this, it's historical fiction. I found parts of it to be a little boring, but I actually really loved it and I have an appreciation for it now. I think I'd give it a 4 out of 5. I have some questions for you. 1 star. I did not like this book. I hear her other book, Great Believers, is amazing. Different genre. I had questions. None of them were answered. If you're looking for a satisfying thriller, this is not the book for you. Regretting You, I'd give a 3.5 out of 5. Just classic coho. Beautiful characters. Love it. Tomorrow, I'd give a 2 star. I know a lot of people love this book. I just could not connect to the characters. I think it was really well written. Me and this book did not connect at all, and I wish that I did. The Wife Between Us, I can't even remember honestly what happens in this book. I think it's a kind of a Last Mrs. Parrish type book, so just because I can't remember really what happens in it, I'm gonna give it a 3. Mame, 5 star, beautiful coming of age book. I love Jessica George. This was her debut novel. I can't wait to read more from her. The Bodyguard, I would give a solid 4.5 out of 5. I love this book for a rom-com. I don't typically love rom-coms, but Catherine Center is amazing. Advika and the Hollywood Wives, I'd give a 2.5 probably. I love Real Housewives, so I was hoping that it would kind of be like that, but it wasn't. This is the point in the year where my life changed, because I started really reading fantasy and I started A Court of Thorns and Roses and I read it all the way through. So I would honestly give all of them 5 stars. A Court of Thorns and Roses, the first book, was just such a beautiful journey. It was amazing. A Court of Mist and Fury was even more amazing. 5 stars. A Court of Wings and Ruin, I actually liked more than A Court of Mist and Fury, just because I love the politics of fantasy. A Court of Frost and Starlight was a beautiful palate cleanser. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 just because it was a novella, but it was a great novella and I loved every second of it, and I give it a 5 out of 5. A Court of Silver Flames is my favorite book of all time. Nesta Archeron means everything to me. This main character, I'm not going to get into it now because this is supposed to be fast, but this is a 6-star read for me. Fourth Wing, I gave a 4 out of 5. I do not feel the connection that a lot of people feel to this book, but I'm really happy that a lot of people have that. I love when people get excited about books and they change their lives, and I love that for those people. I just did not feel personally connected to this book. I also read it right after I read read Nesta. So it was a hard follow-up, honestly. Then I read all but the last book of the Throne of Glass series. Now, I would definitely recommend, like, if you're going to read a series this long, where the books are also this long, especially after reading, like, ACOTAR, like, all in a row, I would recommend reading, like, a few books, like, peppered in between, because what I ended up doing is waiting between, like, September and literally the end of December to finish the last book, because I was just so, like, not burned out from the series, but, like, I just read them all in a row, and it was, like, too much, and I just needed a break. So I would just not go so extreme with the series next time I read a series. I think it's, like, don't leave too much time in between the books, but definitely, like, give yourself, like, a little bit of a breather in between them. So I did it what I believe is the right way, which is the order in which they were published. So I read Throne of Glass first. I think it's a solid 4 out of 5. Crown of Midnight, also solid 4 out of 5. Heir of Fire, 4 out of 5. Assassin's Blade, 4 out of 5. Queen of Shadows, 5 out of 5. This book was my second favorite book of the series. I love Queen of Shadows. I love the red cover. Crown of Midnight is a great cover too. Empire of Storms, 5 out of 5. Tower of Dawn, 3.5 out of 5. Maybe I'll make I'll probably just make like a Saturday Mass video at some point and just talk more about like every single book in greater detail, but I'm not going to get into that at this moment. But I love the series, and I love Selena. Like, she is, I think, my second favorite character of all time next to Nesta. Selena, her arc is just amazing. Like, if you are looking to be inspired by a female character, if you're looking to like be badass, if you're looking for like inspiration at the gym, honestly, just read Throne of Glass. Catherine Center, Hello Stranger. I would give this like a solid 4 out of 5. Love this book, love the concept. It was really snug. Night's Edge, Liz Karen, 5 out of 5. This is like Mommy Dearest meets Twilight. I loved every second of it. Garcelle Bouvet, Love Me As I Am. Don't want to rate the memoir, but I love her, and I love her on Housewives. The Unmaking of June Farrow, I would give a 4.5 out of 5. I really love this book. I wish there was more of it. That was my only complaint. Like, I wish it was like a trilogy. Romantic comedy, I would give like a 2.5 out of 5. Was not crazy about this. Naturals, I would give like a 4 out of 5. This was fun. It was quick. It was like 3 words to a page. We love it. Great palate cleanser. I love like mysteries, but it's YA, so it's not like as scary. That works for me. 7 Year Slip, 5 out of 5. This was an amazing rom-com. I'm not like a huge rom-com person. I appreciate it if it's a good rom-com book, and this is a good rom-com book. So same thing with When in Rome. I would give this a 4.5 out of 5. Amazing. I flew through that book. It was so short. Killer Instinct, I would give a 4.5 out of 5. This book was amazing. It's the second book in the Natural series. Also went by pretty quickly. Britney Spears, The Woman in Me. Well, it's a memoir, so I'm not going to rate it. It was amazing. I definitely recommend the audiobook narrated by Michelle Williams. You have to read it. Check and Mate, I would give like a solid 3.5 out of 5. I don't think it's YA, but it was good, and I really enjoyed it. I also listened to the audiobook version of this, and that really elevated it for me. My Dark Vanessa. Check the content warnings on all these books, but especially My Dark Vanessa. You could handle it. It was amazing. 5 out of 5. It was so beautifully written. I cannot believe it was Kate Elizabeth Russell's first book. That's insane. Happy Place, I'd give a solid 4.5 out of 5. I am not the hugest Emily Henry fan. Again, it's like one of those things that I just don't personally connect to as much as like the masses do. But having said that, Happy Place was my favorite of her books, and I love just the whole thing that like it was about, like the coming of ageness about it, the growing up about it, the friendships, the relationships, everything. It was amazing. If you haven't read any Emily Henry, I think I would honestly start with Happy Place. Caraval, I gave like a 2.5 out of 5. I also listened to the audiobook version of this. Audiobooks can either elevate a story or make it worse than reading it. This narrator, for some reason, just took me out of it. So I don't know if I read the physical copy, if I would give it a higher rating, but I just like, I was not crazy about it. So I'll give it a 2.5. Iron Flame, kind of giving like an obligatory 5-star because the world was just so amazing. But honestly, like my own personal experience reading it, probably give it a 4 out of 5. I already explained how I feel about Fourth Wing. It's basically the same thing with Iron Flame. Powerless, I would give like a solid 4.5 out of 5. It went by so fast. I loved the 2 main characters. It was so fun. I can't wait to read Reckless. Yellowface, 5 out of 5. I absolutely love this book. It was so funny. It's a literary fiction, like satire, and it was absolutely incredible. Practice Makes Perfect, I would give like a 2.5 out of 5. It was not nearly as good as When in Rome. I would honestly just skip this book. Oh God, Matthew Perry's memoir, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing. I also listened to the audiobook of this. Memoir, not gonna rate it, but absolutely so sad, but also very hopeful in a weird way, and so funny. I love his sense of humor, which really comes through in the writing and also in the delivery if you listen to the audiobook. Girl A, I'd give like a 3 out of 5. I appreciate the story that was being told. The writing style wasn't my thing. Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, 5 out of 5. Obviously, I can't believe it took me this long to read this book. Like, I loved it so much, and I want me and Jean-Luc to play the 2 main characters so badly. The House Across the Lake, definitely like cannot predict this book. Like it's one of those books where like I predict a lot that happens in thrillers and there's just no way to predict this one. I would give it like a 4 out of 5 just because I think what happens is a little like far-fetched, but it was really entertaining and I really loved the main character. A Winter in New York, this was so snug. Probably give it a 4 out of 5. I love the characters. I love the setting, obviously in New York. I love there's like a big Italian family in it, a gelateria. It's just very snug, great holiday, great winter read. Magnolia Parks. Wow, Jessa Hastings. I don't know what's taking me so long to read the series, but it was amazing. I'd give it a 5 out of 5. It's a book about such trivial things, but written in such a sophisticated, fun, cheeky way. I love her writing style. I can read anything she writes. Like, she's just so brilliant and so funny, and I love her sense of humor. Joan Didion, Let Me Tell You What I Mean. This was like a collection of essays. Probably give it like a 4 out of 5. I really liked the last essay, the Martha Stewart one. That was my favorite. And then Kingdom of Ash was the last book that I read. I read this in 3 days, and it was 1,000 pages long, so I was pretty proud of myself. I'd give this a 5 out of 5. The payoff was great because of how much you went on this journey with these characters. There were a few things at the end where I was just like, really? But it was fine. I would highly, 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 highly recommend the Throne of Glass series, but I would definitely read ACOTAR first if you haven't read Sarah J. Maas, and then I read Throne of Glass personally. Wow. How fast did I just talk? Wow. Oh, and then I read my friend's book kind of earlier on in the year, and it was one of my first stabs at reading fantasy. I have no idea when it's going to come out or like if there's going to be other drafts of it, but I'm excited for that to finally happen because it was amazing. So those are all the books I read this year. Thank you guys for making 2023 so fun. And obviously I love reading and I'd read anyway, but there's something that's so exciting about sharing what I read with people and like talking about it. Committing to BookTube was like one of the best things that I did in 2023, and I'm so excited. I have lots of ideas of like how to level up the channel in, 2024. I'm excited to see what this year has in store. Thank you guys so much for watching my videos this year, and I will see you on Friday. I'm going to share the books I read during Christmas, vlog style, and I'm also going to share what I got for Christmas. So anyway, have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye! Bye! I don't know what's going on with my eye makeup or anything. I also have a pimple. Oops, bye.